moving on. We all know that ROI is the cornerstone of tracking marketing success. But here's the thought. Are we measuring the right things? So, unlike traditional metrics like the impressions and clicks, attention metrics focus on how long and how deeply the audiences engage with the content. Are they scrolling quickly? Are they taking their time? Are they captivated? Are they getting to the checkout page and then retracting and going no further? So, to talk about this in our fireside chat, the revolutionizing ROI of the integration of attention metrics by performance marketers. The speakers will explore the next big shift in performance marketing and specializing in the attention metrics. So without any further ado, please put your hands together and welcome to the stage our moderator, Amit Bagaria. He is the managing partner at Aurus Properties, LLP. And then we have our guest speakers as well, Mahmood Tari, growth marketing coach at Fast Forward, and Harshal Patil, the CEO and founder of the B2B venture. Please give them a big round of applause as they make their way onto stage.
Thank you for that introduction. So our topic is the integration of attention metrics. But Dr. Reddy has already taken away all the attention of this all. So I'm even wondering what we're going to discuss over here. No, it was a beautiful presentation, believe me. So Mahmood, let's start with you. So how do attention metrics differ from traditional metrics? And how do they directly impact marketing ROI?
Yeah, thank you, Amit. Thank you all for your attention today. And so actually, when we are talking about growth and marketing in general, like we talk about measuring the most important things. And I usually talk about like measuring what matters for the business. And in terms of marketing, doing strategy or doing marketing without measuring anything is like going without any direction. So we typically look at, traditionally speaking, some metrics like clicks, impressions. These are the most, like at the very top of the funnel metric that we want to look at. But what happens is those kind of metrics, they don't give some actionable insight to marketers or to business leaders. Because let me give you an example. You might get like an ad that is running on Instagram, for instance, if you're in B2C, or maybe a LinkedIn ad if you're in B2B, and you might get a lot of clicks, right? But what happens after the clicks? Like, do you have a good engagement on the page? Are people staying on the page, or they are just leaving? And what happens like if you have 1,000 clicks, but you have a 90% bounce rate? So does it mean anything to you? Is it like helping you get any positive ROI from marketing campaigns? So you can see here, like these kind of traditional metrics, they don't give you like real true value. However, when we talk about attention metrics that are more actionable, then we start looking into things like the scroll rate or the depth of scroll. Like people that go to your page, do they just view the top section of your page, or they go even down the page? Do they stay at least for 10 seconds or more, or they go immediately? Or if you have some videos, do you have some watch time on your video so you can know exactly if people are getting to your main message, or just leaving even before even that? So all these things help us now understand how those attention metrics will actually help us get deeper insight about our behavior, the customer behavior, what they are doing, and also get more visibility on their engagement. And this is how they should, like, they impact the ROI. To really talk about ROI, we also want to understand that attention is the very first stage of the customer journey, right? We talk about the traditional model, the AIDA, attention, interest, desire, and action. So how can you make sure that those people are going to take action if you don't get their interest in the first stage, right?
Thank you. So Harshal, turning to you, your business is basically in connecting business to business. So how can attention-based insights refine demand generation and lead nurturing?
Absolutely. Thank you, and pleasure to be here for the fourth time in a row. So primarily, I'll divide this answer because this answer could be, different for two sets of companies. For B2C companies, the answer could be different for ROI. And for valuation-based companies, the answer could be different because they are backed by the investors. So I'll try to answer this particular question considering bootstrapped B2B companies actually. So primarily, attention metrics should be divided in three pieces mainly. The first one is a people, second one is a process, and third one is the data. When I say people, of course, while generating or executing the demand generation, the metrics could be, extremely focused and stringent for the people, including the demand generation team, lead generation team, or say sales people actually. For processes, the metrics could be different. Now, when I say processes, one of the fundamental example of the process could be RevOps, which is the revenue operations. So revenue operations is a set of streamlined workflow where there is no perennial disconnection between marketing, sales, and customer success as the three departments. So the metrics could be different for processes. And third one is the data. So when I say data, it could be a potential data for the prospects. It could be a potential data for the sales conversion, or the different CRM metrics could be junk metrics, as Mohammed mentioned actually. So but one of the fundamental, metric that we have seen that has worked well in terms of the attention, span for the prospects is the call to action. Because primarily, in B2B, there are typically only three call to actions or two call to actions. One is to book the calendar, if you are sending the emails, and second one is in-person appointment. If you are at the event, then, meeting over a coffee. Typically, as those CTAs are, quite repeated, we really need to find out some interesting CTAs as well, the call to actions. So in order to grab the attention of the prospects, we have seen one interesting call to action for India's leading data center company, for which we did the campaign where the target audience was the CIOs of the large corps. Now, it's very difficult to get the attraction or getting the attention of the CIOs actually. So from that particular perspective, one of the call to actions that we used was not for the appointment, was not for the remote meeting. It was inviting them for the dinner every Friday. And surprisingly, what we have noticed is around 85 CIOs participated at that particular data center facility, where the first, they demonstrated, entire data center to those CIOs, and then there was a dinner. So, those kind of lucrative CTAs have also, played a crucial role. Having said that, ROI is very crucial because, emotions will not pay the bills actually. So hence, we need to really have the, right striking balance between, ROI, the KPIs, and of course, intuitive approach when it comes to, executing those campaigns. So we might need to give a little time because a lot of the companies, they want to see the results from day one itself, which might not be possible in all the cases because it's a combination of, intuition, ROI, and also the methodologies that we adopt.
All right, thanks. So turning back to B2C, how are attention metrics applied to better marketing performance and improve customer experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, I just want to emphasize one thing. Like in marketing, B2B, B2C, they are very similar by the end of the day because behind it, as we have seen in the first panel, the same thing when you build your brand. I mean, you are the human behind the gonna buy. So sometimes both metrics work both B2B and B2C by the end. But when you focus now on the B2C, actually when we use the right attention metrics, it helps us first improve our ad optimization and performance. It helps us as well optimize the resource allocation. And some of those metrics that apply to B2C are depth of scroll, interaction rate, or like video completion rate. These are things that we do mainly on content creation and ad optimization. And then when we jump more into how these metrics help us to optimize our marketing in B2C, we can apply them to do things like personalization. For example, things that Netflix has been doing when they track what content you are paying more attention to, then they will give you the right recommendations for what series or movies you want to watch next. Another example of how these metrics apply to B2C is in terms of loyalty program optimization and improvement. Because like when you notice and when you track also your customers' behaviors and interactions, and you know they are paying more attention to specific content, or they are making like a recurring visit to a specific product, then you can customize and personalize their loyalty programs and loyalty communication emails to make sure they take the right actions with the right recommendations. And the third example in B2C is the post-engagement optimization or post-purchase optimization. So again, you know that your customers bought this product from the online store, for instance, and then because they have been watching more ads or because they have been more engaging with your social content, then you can do the right product recommendations or maybe the right product promotion with the right discount to make sure you improve the customer loyalty and retention.
Thank you. So Harshal, what specific attention metrics should performance marketers prioritize to measure engagement effectively? Can you share some examples where attention metrics directly influenced outcomes, business outcomes?
Yes, absolutely. So I think for this, the important aspect is to analyze several metrics into it. But one of the, of course, key metrics that we always need to analyze is the conversion. It could be a sales conversion, or it could be from a MQL SQL standpoint, it could be a marketing qualified lead as well. So of course, the rest of the things, for example, the email click rate, email for open rate, those things will always go to a toss now, because I was just researching about the one tool that can be installed in order to track how many people have opened the emails. But now iOS have banned that particular tool. So because it's a breach of privacy. So eventually we might not be able to analyze how many people have opened the emails, how many people have clicked the email. Same goes for Google Workspace or Office 365. If you install those kind of tools, your emails will eventually reach to a spam folder. So the crucial metrics that we can always focus upon is the conversion, specifically from the intent standpoint. When I say intent, the lead should have a strong need of what they're looking for. And unfortunately, those needs cannot be figured out only with the help of the campaigns. There is a requirement of the preliminary meeting actually. So from that perspective, nobody will come up front and tell you that we want to build this particular app. It's a very rare scenario. So hence, conversion is one of the key metrics, I would say.
Okay, thank you. So with your permission, both of you, I would like to present some of the work that I did as my company was a development manager in the real estate field for several years, for more than 20 years. And coming to how we would get attention. So, for example, this was a luxury villa project in Bangalore, where I live. And the villas costed, in today's price, from $500,000 to about $1.2 million. But unfortunately, even though it was our responsibility to do all the sales, we were given a very low marketing budget, like extremely low. So if we would go and spend that marketing budget in say, normally the traditional way of advertising that real estate projects do around the world, showing trees and birds and lakes and whatnot, we would just run out of money. So with very little money to spend, we said, let's go for the shock and awe treatment. So we did this instead of going to mainstream newspapers, because we were addressing luxury villas. Obviously, we assumed that the people who could afford these villas have some connection with business. So we went to business media. And we did these 3 right-hand side pages in what is India's leading business newspaper, the Economic Times. And I don't know, can you all read that? You can. So yeah, so are you a homeless millionaire in Bangalore? How can be, I mean, that's a contradiction, right? I mean, if you're a millionaire, how are you homeless? And this is the full page. And that's all there was. No name of project, no logo, no location, no pictures, no nothing. So this is page 3. And then, do I have to do it or I have to do it, okay? So when people turn the page to page 5, that text was no longer there. Suddenly they had to move their eyes down to the left-hand corner. And again it said, are you a homeless millionaire in Bangalore? But the subtext changed. You know, your income has gone up 3 times in 3 years, but are you still living in a home which your juniors can afford today? And then when people turn to page 7, are you a homeless millionaire in Bangalore? Italian marble, blah. Centralized AC, blah. Swimming pool, blah. Luxury is much more, isn't it? It's time to move to the only luxury gated community within city limits. Still, no name of the project, no name of the developer, no nothing. And you look at the email, move at the rate of the soonest.in. This brought us, within the next 4 days, a swarm of people in the biggest of Mercedeses and BMWs and Audis, and we sold 11 villas in the next 2 weeks, which gave us enough money. The deposits that people paid gave us enough money to do our next level of advertising. So another example is completely going to another kind of project. This was more like affordable housing, meant for startup executives, maybe in their 4th year or 5th year or 6th year with the company. Nothing like the smell of sweat. So here the idea was, again, we built in so many amenities into the project which made sense. It wasn't just like, oh, we have a swimming pool and we have a park and we have a badminton court. We thought about what are the pain points that people face in living communities, and how do we address those pain points? And then once we address them in the design, then this is how we market it. Nothing like the smell of sweat. Well, the Republic has 2 gyms, indoor and outdoor. My baby poops more than yours. Basically, the Republic has a mom and me park for nursing mothers. Okay, because if you're living in a community and you have a baby for the first time, you'd like to hear experiences from other young mothers. Bicycle on 200 saris. I'm sure everybody is familiar with the traditional Indian women's dress, the sari. So what's the point in creating bicycle tracks equal to the length of a few saris? The Republic has a 1,000 meter, that's a 1 kilometer cycling track. Parking in the kitchen, the Republic has dedicated zones only for parking residents' bicycles. 3-year-old smoking. So we had found in an earlier project of ours that residents used to just smoke all over the place and leave the cigarette stubs anywhere on the ground. And little kids would pick up these cigarette stubs, and God knows, maybe even put it in their mouth. So here we created specifically smoking pods, lockable, where a kid couldn't reach the height, so that this would not happen. Cricket inside a jail, the Republic has a circular cricket ground with a 60-yard diameter. So, yeah, just going back. So again, this whole campaign led to a huge amount of footfall and a huge amount of sales. And then last but not the least is another project in which we had a very, very, very low budget. And it was a huge challenge. It was in a city called Jaipur in northwest India. I think the 9th or 10th largest city in India, perhaps. And the largest ever, this is again affordable housing, and the largest ever real estate project that had been done in Jaipur was 225 apartments in 2006. And we took on the responsibility to sell this project of 3,600 apartments. From 225, the largest ever done in the city, to 3,600. And this was 2009, the crash, the marketing crash that Dr. Ravi had referred to. It was a very challenging time and a very low marketing budget. So we said, so how do we handle this? Okay. So somebody in our team, she came up with an idea saying, people in Jaipur are traditionally minded. When they build a house, they call a priest to come and do a little traditional ceremony, puja, it's called in India, okay, which is like a, offering to God. So why don't we have 3,600 priests coming in and, we'll see if we can break a Guinness World Record or create a Guinness World Record. And that's bound to, create some publicity free of cost. And I said, please do. This is a brilliant idea. Okay, contact Guinness World Records, see if we are actually creating or breaking a record. And she found out, yes, we were. So we had this, groundbreaking ceremony. Even though we had only invited 3,600 priests, 4,532 people turned up because they heard there was free lunch and a box of sweets given to them. And another 4,000 people came to witness the ceremony. There was this, you can see the lady with glasses on the left, on the top right-hand corner. She was from Guinness World Records. That's the handsome me in between, and the man with the turban is the real estate developer. We had more than 6 hours of live television coverage. Every channel in India covered this event live. It went on for 50 minutes, so we had 9 channels, 8 or 9 channels covering it live. And then after that, for the next few days, we had 115 articles about it, many of them on front pages. Free front page coverage. Jaipur project breaks Guinness World Record, etc. And 750 apartments sold in 4 weeks. So from 225, which was the largest done till then, it was, So thank you. Coming back to Mahmood. So we've talked about attention metrics. How are they measured? And what tools do marketers use to measure them?
Well, I would say maybe one of the main attention metrics is like the eye tracking. And I believe that when you were looking at these slides, most of you were looking at these slides, right? So all your eyes were pointing to this screen because it was attention catching. Even though I would maybe we can have this in another panel discussion, but what is common between all these 3 case studies is low budget. And my question is, why you always have to deal with low budget when it comes to marketing? Well, but that's another story for another panel, another day. But now, going back to attention metrics, depending on what you want to measure, and you go with your first objective and setting exactly your goals, but some of the metrics you can measure are like the scroll depth on a page. And for this, you can use tools that will indicate like heat maps. Heat maps so you can know exactly the regions that were most viewed or visited or clicked on your web page. And this will help you to optimize the design or the layout or even the creative and the position of your items on the page. That will lead to page optimization and then conversion rate optimization and maximizing ROI. Another example, if you are doing like mobile app application or development or marketing, Then you can use tools like Amplitude or Mixpanel, for instance, that will help you to measure the exact interactions of your users on your app and know exactly the flow of their journey and where they are stuck, so we can optimize the user experience or the user interfaces to get better conversions again. So these are two examples of how you can use interaction or attention metrics to optimize your marketing campaigns.
Thank you. So Harshal, what role does account-based marketing or ABM play in leveraging attention metrics to drive ROI in B2B campaigns?
Absolutely. So,
So even though Mahmood said there's no difference between B2B and B2C, since you're only in the B2B space.
Correct. So just a quick question. So how many of you know of ABM, account-based marketing? I'm sure many of you must knowing it. So the first thing about the ABM is it's not spray and pray. It's going very focused, very targeted, and very niche in terms of the target audience. I'll give you one of the example. While working with world's #2 leading analytics company for the online retailers and e-commerce companies. So the first question that we asked them that what is the target audience? They said FMCG. So we tried the campaign for FMCG as a broader target audience. It didn't work. Then we asked them the question that in FMCG, can you please tell us your exact audience? So then they said, we are working with the consumer electronics and consumer durables. Again, we broaden it up and then we went a little niche and asked them the further question that in consumer electronics, what is your target audience? Whether it's mobiles, it's a fridge, or it's the other electronic equipments. So I think going extremely niche and then crafting the message based on the target audience is something that is very crucial in ABM. Again, it's not maybe reaching out to 1,000 people a day. It's reaching about only 20 or 15 people a day and then getting the rewards from only 5 or 7 people, which are the qualified ones. It is picking up the pace because cold calling is dying for sure. Cold calling is not working nowadays, and even now 2 countries are launching a thing that your number should be verified before you given a call, else it will be blacklisted. In terms of the B2B audiences specifically, let's say if someone is looking out for software IT company, for example, people will not go on Instagram or Facebook to search which is the top IT company from whom they want to develop it. So I think over there ABM is going to play a role because it will be a connect-based campaign. It will not be a spray and pray. It will be a very focused, and then the connect will be leveraged in terms of the target audience that we're reaching out. From ABM standpoint, earlier there were a lot of tools which were available in order to trace a lot of the things. But as I said earlier, I just asked GPT before some time that is there any tool that will analyze whether the message is coming from GPT? GPT said yes. Now Google Workspace is developing a tool that if you send an email which is generated by GPT, your email will straight away reach to the spam folder. So from that particular perspective, I think as technology is enhancing, ABM cannot be automated. It still requires, the emotions that we need to deliver to the potential prospects actually.
Yeah, I mean, just to follow up, very rightly what you talked about blacklisted numbers, right, for cold calling. And now, specifically, I know that from February or March, India is going to go also for whitelisted numbers for banks and insurance companies and all that. So which will start with specific digits, which then once the consumers start becoming aware, it'll take years, of course. We have about 1.45 billion people, but people will stop answering calls that they don't recognize. Do you think the same thing is going to happen with emails? Blacklisted and whitelisted?
It is happening actually.
Already started?
It is already started. So though, let's say Google Workspace have the email limitations of 200 emails a day, but even if you send a same message to, let's say, 40 people, your domain will be blacklisted next day.
Wow, okay.
So because, and it's a cautious choice by, because Google or Microsoft, they don't want to ruin their reputation. Same like, phone numbers or VoIP did actually. So from that perspective, the governance is pretty strong in those areas as well. Hence, bulk emailing, no way. I mean, it will not work long run.
So basically, the world of marketing is headed for a lot of disruption
That's correct.
Yeah, yeah. So Mahmood, how can attention metrics influence creative strategy in channel selection and multi-channel campaigns?
Yeah, no, I guess you showed us already 3 examples of how those attention metrics can really influence the strategy in terms of channel, medium, and what things we're going to use. But let me just give you some more examples. Like, suppose, and obviously, when you are measuring the right attention metrics, like maybe you are running some video campaigns, and instead of just measuring the impressions of your video campaigns, because they don't tell you much, you are actually measuring the watch time of your videos. So here, you could optimize the length of your videos if you notice that people are not watching too much of your videos. Maybe you want to make them shorter, and that will influence your video strategy. Or if you are doing some multi-channel strategy, suppose, for instance, you are running some outreach campaigns on email and on WhatsApp messaging, for instance, and you want to measure the interaction rate. And if you notice that you get higher interaction rate on WhatsApp, then you obviously want to double down on this channel, and maybe you replace